up, everyone? Marc Lobliner, CEO, MTS Nutrition, how I made my millions. Now, how I made my next millions, obviously be the outright bar, right? But let's talk about what we're doing here. Now, I don't even know what part this is, but we started out with my childhood, which was a tearjerker. We moved on to the college years, moved on to football injuries, moved on to Weeder publications, moved on to working with Sylvester Stallone at Instone. Now we are at when Marc Lobliner became Marc Lobliner, when Marc Lobliner also became the Machine. And that was the Scivation years. 2004 is when we started Scivation. Now, as we discussed in the last video, I met with Mike McCandless, his Uncle Howard, and that's when Scivation began, at Mike's mom's kitchen table. Now, at the time, we decided to launch with something pretty simple. It was called NeuroStim. NeuroStim was one of the first cognitive formulas on the market. NeuroStim was awesome because it had a little bit of stimulants. We ended up putting NeuroStim plus C, but NeuroStim was non-stimulant, and other than Choline Cocktail by Twin Lab, there was really no mental cognitive formula on the market. It had things like DMAE and choline and huperzine, and it was a phenomenal product. I think it was great. It tasted like absolute shit. I didn't know how to flavor anything, and I worked with a ton of flavor houses to even get it where it ended up being. But Katie, wasn't NeuroStim just absolutely horrible?
Horrible?
It tasted so bad.
Was it lemon lime?
We started with orange cream, and then we moved on to lemon lime, and they were both equally bad. So, anyway, long story short, we started with that. Now, being that it was a first product, we ended up running, I believe, like 500 units, right? And then we put the rest of our money into sample packs. So Katie and I would actually sit at our kitchen table in Sylmar, California, and stuff envelopes with my business card and with sample packs. And we would send those out to people whose names and addresses we compiled via message boards. I don't remember what it was, but there were a few. I think Mind and Muscle was out by Avant Labs and a couple others that were able to garner some mailing lists, right? And I believe we might have procured a couple mailing lists. But we were able to get signups, and honestly, we kept sending out samples, and those samples would turn into purchases, and that's kind of how we got it going. Now, at that time, Mike McCandless owned One Fast 400 or Bulk Nutrition, both wet domains. So we needed something, or I needed something to churn cash. Honestly, NeuroStim wasn't going to make enough money. Katie, luckily for us, was making enough money to support us. So she was my sugar mama. Long story short, we ended up launching a new brand alongside Scivation called PrimaForce. PrimaForce had 2 SKUs come out under that name, Creaform and Glutaform. Creatine and glutamine, that's it, straight up. So we sold those as the commodity creatine and glutamine on Bulk Nutrition. From there, we launched Substance WPI, a whey protein isolate, and those were made in the flavors of watermelon and grape. And they were actually in the days of Syntrax Nectar, which was a very hot WPI at the time, and they came in fruity flavors. So we kind of, bit off that idea and rolled with that. So it started rolling, and NeuroStim was, chugging along. You can only do so much, at least at the time, before Mental Jewels from Ambrosia, and before the whole nootropic category kind of exploded. So we ended up, honestly, there were a lot of branch chains kind of coming out on the market, right? You had Ice by Extreme Formulations. You had Glutamine Select by Beverly. And they tasted like utter shit. And we were all fans of branched chain amino acids, all of us. Dennis, who worked with Mike, loved it. I mean, he used to drink it by the gallon, right? And I remember we're looking, I'm like, dude, if we can make this taste good, I mean, we could completely do wonderful things. Because anecdotally, without knowing any science, before even looking into it, I knew that when I took branched chain amino acids during training, I recovered better, I felt better, and look, this is not meant to start an argument with all the new EAA freaks and all the people who are like, BCAA are a waste of money. We're not. I'm saying I was sold on branch chains before any data came out, contradictory to it or for it, because I really liked the way they made me feel. So, excuse me, we were looking at something to add to the branch chains to make it even better. At that time, Patrick Arnold had been compiling phenomenal research on citrulline malate. And also I knew, and it was a hot ingredient at the time, and that's why it was in there, glutamine. I remember reading data on glutamine actually preserving and potentiating leucine. So I also was a fan at the time, not so much now, of alkalinizing the diet. And I knew that glutamine, if you add it to meals, it will take down the acidity and alkalinize meals. So not only do you have potential potentiation of leucine, but you also have the alkalinization of meals. So I like that. I also like the body being in an alkaline state at the time. Again, my opinion right now, just to go on a tangent, eat fruits and veggies and you'll be all good. All right. That's my opinion on alkalinizing the body. It's been a long time. How many years is that, Katie? 2004? 15 years. I've changed a little in 15 years. So anyway, citrulline malate, glutamine, 2-to-1-to-1 branched amino acids, done. Now we had to make it taste good. So I went to work. We worked with the best labs we could find, and we ended up nailing a watermelon and a grape. And that is Xtend. We didn't sell any fucking Xtend. 1 year at the Arnold Classic in 2006, I believe, we were trying to give away, literally, Xtend 30 serving for $5. If you did that now with Machine Fuel, Xtend, or any of the other branch chains, you'd sell out and there'd be a fucking riot, right? No. We had people negotiating us down from $5. You remember that, right, Katie?
Yeah.
Crazy. Anyway, after years and years and years of going on, I'll tell you what I decided to do. So at that time, we had a Toyota Corolla. I loaded up with branch chains. I started driving. From 2005, 2006, 2007, through about 2010. I went to every store, gym, household. It didn't matter. I talked to everybody I could. I was on the road 300 plus days a year. I'm not there yet, Katie. She's getting ahead of herself. So anyway, I'm going around. I was getting cursed out by 19-year-old store clerks, man. Treating me like shit. Oh, we're not buying that shit. I'm like, well, let me explain mTOR to you, bro. What the fuck's mTOR? Get out of my store, right? It was a humbling experience, let's say that. Long story short, it ended up starting to take off, right? We're starting to get traction. People are starting to, I remember I heard a story about Eric Hillman, the owner of Europa at the time, sitting down with Bill Phillips and Stephen Adelaide, who used to own Isotory, and he said, you know what the next big thing is? Lobliner and his branch chains. That was crazy. Like, these are some info of Bill fucking Phillips, EAS, right? Feels like Deca. So anyway, at that time, around 2007, our company wasn't doing much, and the internet had these things called blogs. Bodybuilding.com had a message board. You had blogospheres. You had all these different places to vlog and blog. Not vlogs. We didn't have YouTube. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to compete. That's when I started competing. I never had a love for the sport of bodybuilding, right? I did it to promote, well, Scivation, period. I ended up winning. I shouldn't have. Nobody showed up to my first show. It was literally me and one other guy. But I won. And I noticed I looked like shit. So I kept getting better and better and better. Still looked like shit, but luckily everybody else looked pretty bad too. So we're growing. We're expanding the line. We had Scivation Whey come out, which did really well, kind of piggybacking off Xtend. I was out doing my thing. We had all the distribution at that time. We were in Vitamin Shop, GNC. We were steamrolling. We were growing, and you know what? We hit a tipping point. Around 2009, 2010, we're on top of the world. Xtend had not only become a product, it had become a start of a multi-$100 million category known as the intra-workout category. And being first to market, we had the major share of that category. Times were good, man. Times were good. So I was competing. Xtend was going well. You know, since this is about how I got to where I'm at, leave out personal stuff, but let me just say, when you're so focused on one goal, your goal to grow a company, and at that time I had Cammy, 2006, Thomas, 2008, and then Preston came along later, right? I was so focused on building a future for my family that I neglected my family. I wasn't the best husband. I wasn't the best father. I was a good father, but I was a shitty husband. So that's something that you need to be cognizant of if you're trying to be great at something. You know, you look at Jordan, you look at Kobe, you look at Tiger Woods. They were all really great at their sport. They were really shitty husbands, right? They all ended up, well, Kobe's still married, but let's just say it didn't end well for Tiger, right? Because they're so good, and there's a good book about that by Tim Grover, From Good to Great to Unstoppable, Relentless. And he goes into that, the psychology of being a cleaner or great at something. Inevitably, you're going to be shitty at other things. And luckily, since then, I have perspective. But at the time, I was so focused on building the brands. Like, come on, let's be real. How good of a husband and father can you be if you're on the road 300 days a year? You can't make up for that shit in 60 days. You just can't. So the company grew. In 2011, without going into any detail of it, it's time to move on. It's time to move on. In that time, and I said this in the last vlog, in that time, I made a lot of good connections. We created a category. I maintained all my relationships. In all my years in the industry, I never screwed anybody over, ever. Not only that, I learned how to work with people. While Mike McCandless and I weren't the best of friends or the best of partners, we got it done. And again, like, I owe nothing but gratitude because, you know, I was just talking to my wife about this the other night. If it wasn't for me, Mike wouldn't be who Mike is. If it wasn't for Mike, I wouldn't be who I am. You know, I am very fortunate to have known Mike McCandless, and I'm very fortunate to have the opportunity to partner with him and grow Scivation. At that time, we also forged other relationships. You know, we had other people who were amazing within the company. Don't think that I did it alone, because I didn't. It might sound like that because this video is called How I Made My Millions, right? But that's bullshit, all right? The reason I was successful is that I surrounded myself with successful people. Mike, on the back, Mike told me one thing, man. I say this all the time. Numbers don't lie. That was Mike saying, numbers don't lie. Numbers don't lie. And I'll catch myself saying that shit all the time. Rob Moran, our VP. Rob Moran came in years into it. And honestly, he brought a degree of organization that we needed. Derek Charleboy, I like to call him my partner in crime. Everywhere I went, Derek was there. And Derek added a very serious, kind of stoic, and honestly, he had his own forum on bodybuilding.com. Like, we were the number 3 fucking brand on bodybuilding.com. Number 3 product. At the time when before I came along, we'll get into this next time, with Tiger Fitness and kept beating their ass down, where they're down 50% 2 years straight. Bodybuilding.com, if you're number 3 on bodybuilding.com, you woke up in a new Bugatti. All right? Like, we did really well. Derek was so influential, so likable. He had his own forum on there. We had a kid named Jason who just shipped things, man. He was amazing. He worked. You know, good old Southern boy, man. You know? Like, we had a hell of a team. Then we had the athletes, Team Scivation we put together. Kurt Widener, Brian Whitaker. I mean, we had everybody, the who's who of natural bodybuilding, you know? That's who we were. We essentially became synonymous with great natural bodybuilders. It was a damn good time. A damn honor to be a part of that, you know? And I'll be the last one. Look, I'm the first one to say we. You know, was I the CEO? Yeah. Most CEOs be like, that was my idea. No, it wasn't. We had a good team, man. We had a really good team. Really good team. And I was fortunate enough to, you know, be around since the beginning. So with that said, in 2011, I decided to sell my shares of the company and moved on. This is when it gets real fun. This is when I grow the fuck up, right? This is when I realize, after a couple years of continuing to be an idiot, what my perspective is. This is when I realize more than ever that it's all about providing something no one else provides. The one thing I've always done, no matter what company I'm at, is I treat my customers like gold. You know, you could tell stories. There's people who message me now like, yeah, I've been following you since Scivation. I wasn't as big on social media. Remember all this, guys? Those of you who say you're just a YouTuber? Katie, you there? We didn't have YouTube at Scivation. I started YouTube the January after we started at Tiger Fitness with MTS. I'll get into how that happened next video. We didn't even have we had a YouTube channel. I had a couple of videos of me and Rob, and I think there was a video of me playing soccer with my daughter. Facebook came along a little bit, you know. I mean, dude, this social media thing, what we're doing right here, this dialogue we're having is new to me. I still am not a huge fan of it. I don't like the shit people say about me, but it is what I am. And honestly, if I walk into Walmart and someone yells boom, it's because of this. It's because of YouTube. But I didn't start on YouTube. All this stuff, these 5 videos, I don't even know how many videos I've done about how I got to where I'm at. These are all pre-YouTube, pre-Instagram. You know, how I made my millions was before YouTube and Instagram. But there's one thing that's never changed. Have I become a better husband and father? Abso-fucking-lutely. But I've always been the most, and I will say this, all this we, I mean that, but I'll tell you what, there's no one in this world that gives more of himself to his customers than me. And honestly, that's what destroyed or almost destroyed my marriage and my family, is the fact that I cared so much about delivering a product that I forgot to deliver myself and my love to my family. I was so occupied with being perfect to everyone else that I was a douchebag here. Am I wrong at all, Katie? Am I on point here?
Yeah, you're on point.
I hate how she agrees with me. She should go, nah, you were all right. Look, here's the deal. You learn in life, right? You learn in life that the first step to becoming a better person is to identify what you did wrong in the past. And you always look for that. Everybody, like, I always say this on Instagram, right? And people go off like, it's not about the material things. And people go, shut up, man. You're just a hater. No. I've lived it. I've chased that fucking dream, dude. I've chased it. I've chased the dream. I've chased it, and I've got it. I grabbed it. I grabbed it. Like all these people on Instagram pulling up in their fucking Lambos. I guarantee you, if you were to put side by side, go in the inner workings of our lives, I could do that too. But it doesn't matter. It doesn't. I wear this sweatshirt. I have 2 of these hoodies I wear every day. You know, the only car I own, other than the cars that we lease from that we lease as a company, we own a 2013 Odyssey, and I'm happy. I drove it the other day. I'm fine, right? I buy shoes when I need them. I do admit I went on a kick and bought some LeBrons for a while there. I was on a shoe kick. But that shit doesn't matter. You know what? I was actually thinking this last night. My wife's she has a little flu. Like, you know, I rolled over in the middle of the night and I put my arms around my wife and I spooned her. And I thought, this is really all I need, you know? Driving back from soccer practice with my daughter last night and put my arm around her while I'm driving and I say, you know what? I'm proud of you. You know, I give Thomas a kiss. Say, hey, look, I'm proud of you. That's what life is all about. It's not about the car. Cars are cool. I love my Yukon. I love the company Yukon. I love it. Could take it away, put me in the minivan. That doesn't matter, right? So in perspective, what I hope this series gets at is it's all clickbait bullshit, 100%. How I made my millions is much more clickable than money doesn't matter, I love my family, right? You wouldn't watch this if I put that. What I want you guys to get out of this is that that's a means to an end. Financial security, generational wealth for your family. But if you have to forsake your family to obtain that, or if you get misdirected and you forget about why you did it in the first place, then it's actually more of a harm than it is a good. It's more of a liability than it is an asset. So next time is the fun part. 2011 and on. Tiger Fitness. MTS Nutrition. My partner Chad. How it all came together and where we're at now. I'm not sure if I'm going to have one or two more of these, but it depends. But right now we're at 20 minutes in and I got to go. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. Hope this gives you some perspective of who I am, what I've done, and if you call me a YouTuber, realize this shit's still new to me. 2011 to 2019, that's 8 years. It's less than half of my career in this industry, and I started well before that. My relationships were formed well before that. All right, guys, thanks so much for watching. That's not a game.